The row between Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch has deepened today, some would even say spiralled, with Reform UK hinting tonight there could be legal action taken against the Tory leader. It follows, of course, Reform's claims that it now has more members than the Conservative Party. That's according to the digital tracker you can see on your screens. However, Kemi has slammed the announcement as fake and accused Reform of issuing misleading figures. As you would expect, of course, Nigel Farage has since hit back, accusing her of being bitter, upset and angry. Joining me now is the Deputy Leader of Reform UK, Richard Tice. Good evening, Richard. Thank you for joining me. Merry Christmas. How was your Yuletide, may I ask first?
Well, it was splendid, but it's been made even better by this absolutely catastrophic, inexperienced naivety from the Leader of the Opposition. Well, the ex-opposition. We're obviously now the real opposition. But, I mean, Kemi Badenoch, I don't know what she had in her Christmas turkey or her Christmas pudding, but, I mean, just amateur hour. Absolutely extraordinary.
Richard, why do you have to be such Scroogers? It's the time of goodwill. Why do you have to be attacking the Tories attacking you? I mean, first of all, this all started because you projected Reform's ticker on CCHQ, right? You started it.
We've been generous. I mean, we made a nice Happy Christmas Kemi projection onto CCHQ. That was rather fun. You know, a bit of fun. Instead, she's responded by accusing Nigel and us at Reform of lying and fraud. I mean, that's the Scrooge from the Tory party, it seems to me. Look, the reality is she claims to be an engineer. I think what we've discovered over the last 36 hours is that she's a graduate engineer. She's got no experience. She doesn't know what she's doing. Frankly, if she thinks she's going to rewire the Tory party and rewire how to run this country, I think she'll take the country towards electrocution, frankly.
OK, Richard, OK, first of all, let me just square some numbers with you. How do you know that you've passed the Conservative Party's membership total?
Well, because that's the last total that they graced the country with. And they haven't been as transparent and open with their numbers as we have. So that was from the leadership election, right? Kemi's claimed their numbers might have gone up, but we know lots of our members who cancelled their Tory party membership and then got sent ballot papers. So all the evidence that we've got is that their number's probably too high.
Got it. I will get on to that. But, Richard, I just want to clarify, how do you know how many members they have? Because you're going off their total from the leadership election, right? You took the number of ballots and the turnout.
Well,
but that was some months ago. So you're comparing your numbers today to the Tories from months ago.
It was about 8 weeks ago.
Oh, 2 months ago, yeah.
And we do know that their membership collapsed in the last 2 years by some 40,000. So all the evidence is that their number is reducing, not increasing. The likelihood of their number increasing from the 131,000 to over 144,000, you got more chance of winning the lottery, frankly.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I just wanted to clarify. And Kemi has said, of course, overnight that, well, in that thread she issued on Boxing Day, that apparently the Tories have had a couple of thousand more members since that ballot. But look, there's talk of legal action tonight. Nigel hasn't gone full throttle and committed to it. He just said, I'm going to take 2 days to consider my options. What do you want from Kemi Badenoch? Do you want an apology? What do you want to resolve this?
Because it's the time of goodwill and we're looking forward to New Year, what she needs to do is just fess up. She's got it wrong. Just apologise. You know, actually, that's the big thing to do. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. Not even you and me, Ben. And when you get something wrong, you just say, look, I'm sorry, we got it wrong. And actually, you should get more credit for that. Just apologise. Say, Nigel, on this occasion, we got it wrong. And I'm sorry, and we'll move on. And we can look forward to the new battles in the new year in 2025. It's exciting to look forward to, isn't it?
It is exciting indeed. But what happens, Richard, if there is no apology? She's been silent thus far. She's been tweeting about everything else other than this situation, which seems to have been spiralling today. What happens in the days ahead if you hear no apology?
She'll look ridiculous. She'll look completely ridiculous.
Legal action?
And I think the demands will grow on her just to learn from this and say, I got it wrong. And the longer she leaves it, the worse it'll look for it. It really will. And look, I know it's hard for anybody to apologise, particularly in a senior position, but actually it's the big thing to do. It's the right thing to do. And let's just hope that she sees that, realises that, and says, as part of her New Year message to us at Reform, look forward to debating and challenging you next year, and I'm sorry for getting it wrong on this occasion.
OK, what about legal action then, if she doesn't apologise? That's in contention for defamation.
To be honest, we've been working so hard on this. Our social media team have done absolutely brilliant. Frankly, everyone's going to have a bit of a breather, enjoy the holidays, and let's see what happens in the new year.
Very diplomatic.
I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic, Ben. I think she's going to apologise.
OK. Just talk before I introduce my panel to you. They have a question for you each, if you don't mind. Reform has gone today to Sky News, The Spectator, The Daily Telegraph, and the FT, the Financial Times, to prove, as far as you're concerned, that your membership figures are right. Last time I looked, it was something like 141,000 and growing. What's happened today? Were all those publications and broadcasters satisfied that you're talking, or you're speaking the truth?
Indeed, they were shown basically the back-end database, how it works by our IT team, and a number of them actually were sort of IT specialists. And they've all then written up that they are satisfied, they've seen how it works, they've seen the evidence that Kemi's claim is completely wrong, they've seen how the numbers tick up at different times of the day. You get spikes when it's a busy time of the day, you get low times when, frankly, it's the middle of the night. So they've satisfied themselves, they've written it all up, and here's the other thing. We've said, look, we're happy to have a full audit from some Big Four audit firm of our numbers. We're transparent. We believe in our numbers. And whilst they're at it, they might as well audit the Tory numbers as well. And then we've got absolute clarity on the correct position.
Yeah, and I guess the slightly ironic thing for the Conservatives, Richard, is that Kemi was firing this tweet off talking about your membership numbers, and what's happened since then, it's blown up, it's made the BBC when it probably previously wouldn't have, and your members again have shot up as a result. So, goodness me. Who's advising Kemi?
Maybe before she apologises, I should say thank you, Kemi, for encouraging lots of others to join.
Let me just ask you, Richard, I don't know if you've had any intel on it, but who wrote that tweet? Was it Kemi sat at home on Boxing Day after some leftovers? Was it her advisor? Any ideas? Have you heard on the grapevine?
To be honest, I've no idea, but I suspect that it wasn't her. That's my hunch. If I'm wrong about that, then no doubt she'll correct me. But let's wait and see. Right. Maybe she can clarify all of that.
Well, that would be an easy way out for her to say, wasn't me, disapprove of it, I apologise, let's move on and forget it, like you said. And just for clarity, for viewers at home, I did a show this morning on this channel. We've been inviting Kemi and indeed any other Tory shadow cabinet minister, Tory MP, to come on and talk about this and give their side of the argument. We've emailed CCHQ many times. We've had radio silence. So just for clarity...
What does that tell you? What does that tell you? I think we know what that tells you. They're embarrassed.
Yeah, OK.
They've got nothing to say. They know they're in the wrong.
All right, let's introduce my panel now because they've got some questions for you. Diane Spencer, you're up first. What's your question for Richard Tice?
Hello, Richard. My question for you is, where do you draw your inspiration from when you're coming up with ideas for your party's manifesto?
Oh, great question. Well, we call it a contract, not a manifesto, because the latter is sort of a synonym for broken promises. But our contract this year was a combination of input from lots of people on various different topics, and they came up to myself, to Nigel, and we approved it and signed it off, and then and we stand by it. And since then, frankly, some of our concerns and anxieties and predictions have been proven right.
Right, so I wanted to know what your inspiration was. Like these people who come to you with their ideas, who are they? Why do you trust them so much? Where is your inner guidance?
Because these people are Reform members who've been involved for a long time, who've got particular expertise in certain areas. But, for example, our very first policy from over 3 years ago was the economic policy to lift the starting point to pay income tax to £20,000 from £12,500. That was my idea. I said to our economic advisor, I said, how much does that cost? And we worked it out. That was literally our first policy.
OK. Alex Stark, your question, please.
Good evening, Richard. Every once in a while, there's a big personality, the man of the hour. Could have been Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Branson a few years ago, Chris Evans. At the moment, it's Nigel Farage. And I look at you, and I'm a fan of yours, but I think you've got... Your timing is a bit like, and you're a child of the 60s, so you'll remember Pete Best of the Beatles. He leaves just before they record the proper version of Love Me Do, and he just spends the rest of the 60s looking at what could have been his. So my question to you is, you stood down in June. Do you regret it?
Not at all, far from it. We're a team. And the great thing about a team is that you push on together, and 2 + 2, let's try and make it equal more than 4 than less than 4. So, no, look, I'm delighted. We're all delighted. But be under no illusion. It's not easy. This is hard work. We've had teams working throughout the whole Christmas period. We're just working our socks off. And, we're getting more things right than we get wrong. When we get it wrong, look, we have to admit it.
OK, right. Amy Nicole-Turner, your question, please.
It's interesting to hear you say that you're a team, because Reform is a private limited company, and ultimately Nigel Farage is the main shareholder. He gets final say on absolutely everything. So when people pay £25 to be a member of Reform, what does the fact that Reform is a private limited company, what is the implication for the members? What is the benefit to membership? What does it mean for them?
Oh, Amy, I wish you'd been at our conference in September when we had about 4,000 people.
You didn't invite me.
Well, next time you must come.
Thank you.
Because we approved a new constitution that's going through the legal process. That obviously you have to get approved by the Electoral Commission. That gives people basically that the party moves as part of its sort of growth and its maturity to be a members' party. And many of the things that the other parties, like the Tory party, have in terms of policy, changing the leader, electing a leader. All of that is very, very similar. And we've got some 400 branches now set up. People have voted on to that. They'll vote for the candidates. They'll have input into local policies. So, look, we're evolving, we're maturing, we think quite nicely and quite successfully.
OK, panel, thank you for that. Richard, just one more passing question, if you don't mind. You've been very generous with your time, and I appreciate it. People are suggesting that just because you've got a lot of members and you've now overtaken the Tories, according to your figures, that they're saying, look, Jeremy Corbyn had 400,000 members under the Labour Party and he was smashed at the election. What do you say to that?
Look, in a sense, that's the great leveller, isn't it? That's why we'll never be complacent. We'll always work harder, hopefully, than the competition. And we can never take anything for granted. Look, we believe in competition. It's a competitive world out there. We've got to keep proving ourselves to potential voters. And, also, let's remember, we're delighted at the growth in membership. That's fantastic. But if the members are not happy with what we're doing, then they can take their membership to other parties. So rest assured, we've got to keep delivering. That's the bottom line.
Richard, thank you very much. Happy Christmas to you and your family, and happy
New Year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Thanks for your time. Right, as I've said to Richard just then, if you missed it, we have asked Kemi Badenoch today to come on GB News, anyone's show, doesn't matter who it's with, to give her side of the story, or indeed a shadow cabinet member or a Tory MP, whoever. We emailed CCHQ and we've had radio silence all day. I just want to make that clear because there's a few comments today saying, it's too much reform, you're making a story out of nothing. We want to get both sides of the story here, which is why we have extended our invitations many times today to the Tories, and they're not keen to come on thus far, I assume, because we've had no response. Panel, thank you for that. Did you enjoy quizzing Richard Tice?
Yeah,
thought I'd be democratic and get you involved. Yeah. What's your thoughts, Diane? Do you think this row is much ado about nothing?
Well, I think that if Nigel is going to do legal action, I want to see it switched into gear. I can't stand it when people say, I'm going to get legal on you, and then nothing occurs. So if he's going to do it, don't tease that you're going to do it and then don't do it.
Well, is Nigel not giving Kemi a chance to apologise? He says, I will make my decision in 2 days. No?
This is Nigel Farage's best case scenario, let's be honest. He set the trap, she fell in it, now he can go, oh my God, I'm a victim, and I need to get legal on it, and it'll be another debanked, oh, I've been debanked, oh, I've been defamed. This is Nigel Farage's best case scenario.
I'm sorry, he was, just going back to that old story, he was debanked.
Excellently, brilliant PR for him. What great luck.
Dame Alison Rose, the CEO of NatWest Group, she quit as a result of it. So he did have a case there.
Nigel Farage is a victim. He's a victim, once again.
But what is interesting is that if the membership clearly has taken hold, and if it is more than the Conservatives need to actually pay attention to this, because Reform is a grassroots organisation. And if people are paying that £25 to that company owned by Nigel Farage to sign up to the club, then they've signed up. And the Conservatives can... Kemi Badenoch made it out like Farage had been planning this like, for a couple of days. Did you see in her tweet? She sort of said, oh, I know that this is all part of your scheduling. You even sent this tweet. You probably booked it in. So I don't think she's helping herself. This seems to me to be a petty squabble, which she shouldn't have picked this fight.
Yeah, Alex, this isn't just an attack on the Tories for the sake of it. If Keir Starmer had made such a blunder by coming out publicly on Twitter and saying something as silly as that, which, if indeed the figures are right and they haven't faked the numbers, it was a silly comment to make, if true. It's a mistake that needs calling out, no?
Well, think of it from Nigel Farage's point of view, Ben. He is a brilliant PR man. He's up there with Donald Trump. He can now give this 2 days to let it breathe because the story's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. The Tories have just gone into his honey trap and now he's going to wait. And he's so switched on. He's so switched on. He knows that a vote, when people vote, that we've got the local elections coming up in May, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
And he knows for reform in any kind of election, I would imagine that one person votes because they like Nigel Farage for reform, another one votes because they like the policies, then there'd be a vote for the people who don't like Labour and a vote for the people that don't like the Conservatives. And that's why this is snowballing.
OK.
Nice.
Well, Reform can bang on about members all they want. I guess the first litmus test is indeed those local council elections in May. If they stumble, well, some councils already, Essex, I think, or Thurrock is on the cusp of being cancelled, if not already. I'll have to check on that. But if that is the litmus test. If they don't get council seats, as they've been promising, then the membership numbers really, I mean, don't mean that much.
It came second in 98 seats.
Reform?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Red Wall, they came second in 89 of the 92 seats that Labour won. A Conservative Party spokesperson has told GB News, despite not wanting to come on, Reform has delivered a Labour government that has cruelly cut winter fuel payments for 10 million pensioners, put the future of family farming and food security at risk, and launched a devastating raid on jobs which will leave working people paying the price. A vote for Reform this coming May is a vote for a Labour council. Only the Conservatives can stop this. OK.
Yeah, I thought that was naff.
Why were you giggling at that? What's funny?
I was giggling at that because that's ridiculous. That's not them saying, oh, it's all Reform's fault that Labour got in. No, it's your fault. You're the Conservatives. You failed.
Well, I guess the argument is they did split the vote. I mean, in my seat,
the Conservatives failed,
yeah.
and they can't blame other parties. They failed. They screwed up.
Reform could have done
Mic
them a
drop.
favour and not stood the candidates in all of them.
And I thought you were feisty.
OK.